Now, after a wet start for most of us, let's see what the weather has in store. Something nice, Gail.
Signs of an improvement, Jackie.
Good.
A very good evening to you. Well, yes, it was a dismal start to the day with a lot of rain, mist, fog and cloud too. But we have been seeing that gradually pull away southeastwards with this front, and this area of high pressure is set to dominate over the next few days. So for the time being, well, we're ending the day on a fairly bright note with some decent spells of sunshine in northern and western Scotland. The cloud that we have in the east will also thin and break, giving us a bright end of the day here. Now, overnight, most of Scotland will be dry. There'll be some clear spells in the east, some patches of mist and pockets of fog too. But there will be some thicker cloud moving in towards Argyll, the northwest Highlands and the islands, bringing with it a few showers and a keen breeze. But for most, light winds and fairly mild. Tomorrow then, the mist and the low cloud will gradually disperse, and a fine day for a large part of Scotland. We've got high pressure building across us, and that signals not a bad day at all. Dry and fairly bright with some welcome spells of sunshine and temperatures around 16 or 17 Celsius in parts of the west, so some mist could well come on to the Solway coast. Further east, it will be a bit warmer, widely 18, 19 Celsius, possibly 20 in parts of Aberdeenshire. The islands won't fare quite so well here, around 11 to 13 Celsius, some drizzly showers, similarly so towards the northwest coast and the Western Isles, peaking near 15 Celsius. Through the rest of the day, well, it'll stay mainly dry and fairly bright, light winds inland, but fresher towards the northwest coast and islands. For Thursday, well, high pressure is still in charge, so again a fairly settled picture for much of Scotland. Bright spells of sunshine. It should be sunnier than tomorrow, in fact, but there will still be the threat of some mist and low cloud coming on towards the coast, especially towards the Solway and the northeast, and temperatures inland 20, possibly even 21 degrees Celsius. For Friday, that area of high pressure is gradually tracking eastwards, but it will be a fine end to the day. After all the rain we had today, summer is set to return, and that's how the weather's looking.
Thank you very much.
Let's get the weather now, the weekend forecast from Gail.
Thank you, Sally, and a very good evening to you. Well, it's going to be a cracking weekend. The weather is set to stay settled and dry as high pressure continues to dominate, and feeling warm too. Temperatures climbing well above the seasonal average. Now, for this evening and tonight, we'll tend to see the last of the patchy rain clear away northwards. It'll then be dry, long clear spells, patchy mist and fog, especially through the central belt, down in towards the southern uplands, and a touch of grass frost as temperatures drop to 1 or 2 Celsius inland and the winds fall light but fresher around the coast. So tomorrow morning then, any early mist, frost and fog will quickly lift. It'll then be a dry, bright day with some glorious spells of sunshine. So if, like me, you're headed along to Hampden to yell on the staggies, it'll be a dry day and a bright one with fairly light winds. Now, across the rest of the country, the dry weather is set to hold throughout the day. We'll tend to see some glorious spells of sunshine lingering on, just some patchy high cloud, turning the sun a bit hazy at times. But very respectable temperatures, 16, 17 degrees Celsius quite widely, a bit lower towards the islands, but still very close to the seasonal average. Now, the best of the temperatures will be found through inland parts of Moray and Aberdeenshire, 16, 17, possibly even 18 or 19 Celsius in a few spots, but a bit cooler towards the east coast, as here we'll tend to pull in a southeasterly breeze. The winds for most, though, staying light. Now, if you are taken to the hills and the mountains tomorrow, the early mist and frost in the glens will quickly disperse. It'll then be dry with sunny skies, a little bit of cloud though towards the northwest with some brisk winds, but generally the winds will be light to moderate, and at Munro level temperatures near 7 degrees Celsius with a freezing level well above Munro level. Now, for the skiing forecast, and the dry weather is going to stay. Also is fairly bright with light winds, just a touch windier towards the Nevis Range. Now, for Sunday, high pressure is still set to hang on, so dry, bright, the best of the sun in the west, and another warm day, though cloudier and cooler in the east. That's the forecast.
Let's get the weather now, the weekend forecast from Gail.
Thank you, Sally, and a very good evening to you. Well, it's going to be a cracking weekend. The weather is set to stay settled and dry as high pressure continues to dominate, and feeling warm too. Temperatures climbing well above the seasonal average. Now, for this evening and tonight, we'll tend to see the last of the patchy rain clear away northwards. It'll then be dry, long clear spells, patchy mist and fog, especially through the central belt, down in towards the southern uplands, and a touch of grass frost as temperatures drop to 1 or 2 Celsius inland and the winds fall light but fresher around the coast. coast. So tomorrow morning then, any early mist, frost and fog will quickly lift. It'll then be a dry, bright day with some glorious spells of sunshine. So if, like me, you're headed along to Hampden to yell on the Staggies, it'll be a dry day and a bright one with fairly light winds. Now, across the rest of the country, the dry weather is set to hold throughout the day. We'll tend to see some glorious spells of sunshine lingering on, just some patchy high cloud, turning the sun a bit hazy at times. But very respectable temperatures, 16, 17 degrees Celsius quite widely, a bit lower towards the islands, but still very close to the seasonal average. Now, the best of the temperatures will be found through inland parts of Murray and Aberdeenshire, 16, 17, possibly even 18 or 19 Celsius in a few spots, but a bit cooler towards the east coast, as here we'll tend to pull in a southeasterly breeze. The winds for most, though, staying light. Now, if you are taken to the hills and the mountains tomorrow, the early mist and frost in the glens will quickly disperse. It'll then be dry with sunny skies, a little bit of cloud though towards the northwest with some brisk winds, but generally the winds will be light to moderate, and at Munro level temperatures near 7 degrees Celsius with a freezing level well above Munro level. Now, for the skiing forecast, and the dry weather is going to stay. Also's fairly bright with light winds, just a touch windier towards the Nevis Range. Now, for Sunday, high pressure is still set to hang on, so dry, bright, the best of the sun in the west, and another warm day, though cloudier and cooler in the east. That's the forecast.
Now let's see how the weather has been shaping up this election day. Here's Gail.
Thank you, Sally, and a very good evening to you. Well, it's been a fine day across many parts of Scotland with just a few showers. But we did see the cloud break and the sun eventually come out, as this satellite picture from earlier shows us, with temperatures around 8 to 15 Celsius. But there will be a slight change overnight tonight. We have a curl of clouds stretching from the likes of Shetland right the way down into the North Sea. That'll gradually migrate its way westwards overnight, so thicker cloud moving in, bringing the risk of some light, patchy rain and drizzle by morning. Further west it will be clearer, especially towards Galloway, Kintyre, up and towards Argyll in the northwest, and here temperatures dipping to 1 or 2 Celsius, but generally 5 to 7 degrees. Now tomorrow then we'll start off with quite a bit of cloud and still a few spots of drizzle, but the weather will quickly pick up. It'll become largely dry, just the chance of an isolated light shower, and bright with some long spells of sunshine across the country. So for the likes of the Borders and through the Lothians, Fife and the northeast, here we will tend to see that northeasterly wind, making it feel a little cool, temperatures 9 to 12 degrees Celsius. The Northern Isles also on the cool side, the North Highlands and into the Western Isles too. But it's the west that will see the best of that sunshine, particularly towards Argyll, Kintyre, Glasgow and down towards Dumfries and Galloway, with temperatures climbing to 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. Now, little change through the second half of the day. The mainly dry weather is set to hold with a moderate to fresh northeasterly breeze. Now, for Saturday, we've got this weak front, which is just sliding into the far north of Scotland. That will introduce some thicker cloud and the odd spot of light rain, but generally another fine dry day, brightest in the west with temperatures rising to 14 degrees. Now, for Sunday, we hold on to that mainly dry picture, with the west indeed fading best once again, with most of the sunshine to be found here. But just notice up into the far north towards Shetland, that white stuff, it is wintry showers. It will be turning colder over the weekend with some frosts expected overnight. That's the weather.
Let's get the weather now from Gail.
Thank you, Jackie, and a very good evening to you. Well, high pressure has been dominating our weather for the past few days, and it's set to stick around. It's sitting slap bang on top of Scotland, keeping the weather fronts at bay. But as our winds have circulated around it, it's been pulling in some cloud, chiefly towards eastern, southern and central Scotland. So that's how we start off this evening, with some cloud affecting southern, central and eastern parts. It is expected to thin and break, particularly in the southwest towards Ayrshire, Glasgow and Dumfries and Galloway, leaving most parts of Scotland dry tonight with some clear skies and a sharp frost. Temperatures widely -1 to -3 degrees, possibly -7 or -8 towards the West Highlands, as winds stay light with some pockets of fog. So a chilly old start to the day tomorrow, that frost, mist and fog gradually lifting. But then it's another dry one right across the board with some glorious spells of sunshine. It's in the west that we'll continue to see the best of the sun from the Clyde coast through Ayrshire down towards Dumfries and Galloway, and temperatures here around 8 degrees Celsius. Now nipping across the southern uplands into the Borders and the Lothians, here there'll be a little bit more patchy cloud around, similarly so right the way up into Aberdeenshire, but it will still be a brighter day than it was today, and it certainly won't spoil things. The Northern Isles and the northwest will also fare well with some good spells of sunshine, and those temperatures climbing to 9 degrees Celsius. And the winds will tend to stay light, so feeling quite pleasant in that sunshine. Now, as we move on towards Wednesday, and we've still got the high dominating, but it's drifting slightly further south, so we'll pull in more of a southwesterly wind, and with that, an increasing cloud across the northwest highlands as well as the islands, but essentially another dry, bright one. Now on Thursday, here comes the fly in the ointment. This cold front is set to sink its way southwards, bringing with it some outbreaks of rain to northern Scotland. It'll rob us of the sunshine further south, but temperatures still 9 degrees. And for tomorrow, it's dry, it'll be bright, and there'll be some sunshine. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Extraordinary life of Jack Harrison. Well, let's take a look now what the weather has in store for us, Gail.
Thanks, Jackie. Well, very good evening to you. Well, it did turn out to be a rather dull, dreich day for many parts of Scotland, but not everywhere. Tiree has been sunny since Saturday, clocking up around 40 hours worth of sunshine. Daily average just 6. Now, as we go into this evening, we do have a bank of cloud across many parts of Scotland. You can just see Tiree and the rest of the Western Isles poking out of it. But under that cloud, there is some rain. So that rain is stretching from around about Galloway, reaching right the way up towards Aberdeenshire. We've also got some heavy showers plaguing the northwest, some of them not just heavy, but also thundery. As we go through this evening and overnight, the wet weather is set to linger. It'll gradually move about. The showers and the rain will merge, but it should become a touch lighter and more patchy for tomorrow morning. And temperatures holding up well, 8 to 11 degrees Celsius, but a keen breeze around northern coast to start the day tomorrow. It will be a dull, damp affair first thing, but the rain is set to clear, so conditions gradually improving through the day. There'll still be some drizzly rain hanging around southwestern coast, in particular towards Argyll, but there should be a little bit of brightness coming in towards Dumfries and Galloway, Ayrshire and Glasgow. The Borders will hold on to the rain for a little bit longer. Across much of northern Scotland, well, a lot of dry weather to come, and again there will be some brighter interludes breaking through at times. Temperatures typically 13 or 14 degrees, but with the best of the sunshine in the northwest, we could well hit 16 or 17 Celsius towards Oban and Fort William. Now, through the rest of the afternoon, the last of that rain will clear. It'll be a dry and bright end to the day, again breezy around the coastal fringes. Now, for Thursday, high pressure is dominating. It's coming down from the north, bringing with it a lot of dry weather, and again, the best of the sunshine to be found through western and central Scotland. So temperatures could just rise a degree or so, peaking between 17 and 19 Celsius in the west, but a touch cooler in the east thanks to that northeasterly breeze. And then for Friday, well, very little change, staying settled with high pressure dominating. That's the weather.
And time now to get the weather forecast with Gail.
Thanks, Katrina, and a very good evening to you. Well, it was a north-south split across Scotland today, with southern Scotland enjoying the very best of the weather. But this front did bring rain into northern districts, and the rain is still with us. It'll continue to be fairly light and patchy and plague northern parts through this evening. Then overnight, we'll have a spell of rain sliding down the west coast, reaching in towards the southwest around Ayrshire, Lanarkshire and Dumfries and Galloway by tomorrow morning. But for a large part of Scotland, it'll be a dry night, though fairly cloudy, and that'll hold temperatures up 6 to 9 degrees Celsius for most, mainly light winds, though Shetland will be clearer and colder. Now for tomorrow, we've still got this front just lingering in the northeast of Scotland. That'll bring a lot of cloud and some outbreaks of patchy, light, drizzly rain, especially first thing into Moray and Aberdeenshire. Elsewhere though, a mainly dry day, but tending to be fairly cloudy. There'll just be a few exceptions. Into the southwest, this is where we're most likely to see some sunshine. Across Dumfries and Galloway, Ayrshire and Lanarkshire, temperatures up to 16 Celsius, 61 Fahrenheit. Further east from the Borders, right the way up towards Aberdeenshire Flintshire and Murray, a lot more cloud around and a few spots of light drizzly rain. Shetland should fare well, but for the likes of Orkney in through the North Highlands, again quite a bit of cloud, although towards Lochaber and Argyll there'll be some pleasant sunshine, temperatures 11 or 12 degrees here. Now through the second half of the day there will be the risk of a few showers and a light to moderate northwesterly wind for most. Now for Thursday we've got another front affecting parts of eastern Scotland. That is expected to bring just some patchy light rain, so the emphasis again on a mainly dry day. Best of the sunshine to be found in the northwest and temperatures peaking near 13 or 14 degrees Celsius, a touch cooler with a northeasterly breeze. And that northeasterly lives on towards the end of the week, making it feel a little bit cooler but still largely dry. So to recap then, tonight just some light rain for the north and west and fairly mild. Tomorrow mainly dry but cloudy. That's the weather.
Thanks very much.